got my bra strap showing.
Hello. We are officially on the Impact Podcast. So excited to be here with you this hot evening. I'm not sure where you're tuning in from, but I know in Philadelphia, it is hot. It's really hot.
Listen, that's why you see me and Damaris in these tanks, because it's hot. Okay. I was going to put something on the arms, but I was like, it's too hot. I'm sorry.
I actually just came out of the pool. Oh, you put a jacket on? Yeah, I didn't even do that. I was just like, you know what? They're gonna get what they get, and
exactly.
So I felt a little differently about you guys today. Obi, I'm gonna tell you too. We had a meeting earlier. I did not have this on. I had the tank, and I was like, hello, I'm here. And so I was like, you know what? Let me throw it on, probably because I'm in my home office, but I don't have the air running because then you guys will hear it. But I don't know. How are you guys tonight? How are you?
Well, everybody? Do you hear my air? Because my air is on and it's loud.
No,
I can hear whistling. I can hear it a little bit. Yeah.
Mine is hear whistling?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't. Turn mine on too.
Yeah, girl, don't be hot.
Yeah, don't be hot.
Turn your hair on.
Not that serious.
One takes the jacket off, one or the other.
I love it.
The impact, real conversation. We real women got this hot.
It's going. The air is going on. I appreciate you guys for being here for me and allowing me to have self-care. I appreciate it so that I can be cool. Because in a second you were going to see all the gloss and everything. Because I was like, I'm not. So I've chosen to turn the air on. I'm with you guys. I'll be cool. And so we will start tonight by welcoming, of course, you know, my power sisters over here are with me. We have Damaris Alvarado Rodriguez and Dr. Obiama Martin. And we are welcoming for the first time, but not the last, Martha G, CEO and founder of Ideal Business Services. And if you know any of us, you know that we love to talk business. So this is the perfect circle tonight. So we get to talk about one of our favorite topics. So I am going to let you, Martha, introduce yourself because I want to be a nice host and make sure we get to know you.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so excited to be here to talk to you guys about business, taxes, and everything else that comes along with it. I am the founder of Ideal Business Services located on Hunting Park here in Philadelphia. And I have been here for a little bit over 12 years. And I service business to business. And now I am doing some individual, helping entrepreneurs grow and get to know taxes, right? The operational side of everything, because not everybody gets scared when you talk about taxes, you know, they fear taxes. So I'm here to give them knowledge and make them fearless, right? When it comes to taxes. So that's what I'm here to do for you guys.
I love it. So why wait? If there's one thing that you could say there's a misconception or a misunderstanding or lack of understanding around taxes, what would you say that is?
Nobody wants to pay taxes, right? Nobody wants to be in debt ever. And nobody wants to be in debt. But it is important that you don't have to pay taxes to that large amount. If you understand your operations, if you understand your own business, you would know what to do with your expenses and your deductions, etc. I feel like a lot of business owners, they go into their field, they do what they love to do, but they fail to realize that there is something called taxes. And they get caught up after the fact that they already are in business, they're doing what they love, and then 2 or 3 years later, boom, they come across taxes. And when you come across taxes and you don't have your books right, you can pay a lot of taxes, you know, and if your business is not structured the correct way, you can end up paying even more taxes. So it's important to understand your industry, what are the expenses, what are the deductions, and how to go about it within your business throughout the year so that you can minimize your tax debt at the end.
Would you say one example? You said if you don't have your business structured properly. Can you give us one example of if you don't have this structured properly, it will cost you.
If you have your LLC and you don't understand how your entity is formed at the moment, you can pay a lot of taxes. And I'll explain why. Because a lot of people go into, oh, I'm going to get my LLC, right? And they ask their friends or another entrepreneur that's in business. And they fail to realize that not every industry is the same. And not every LLC is structured the same. So, for example, you can be an LLC that is actually looked at as a sole proprietor, right? So you're actually paying taxes at a higher rate. Now, if you are an LLC and you are the only owner, it doesn't mean that you have to be considered in a sole proprietor in the eyes of the IRS. You can do different things within your business so that you can switch your entity into a real LLC and pay less taxes. But you have to structure it correctly. And it begins with that first formation.
I have a question. What are your most common mistakes? I know you work with it because I know you. You work with a lot of childcare centers. What is the most common mistakes that you see in childcare businesses?
So, with that question, do we want to refer to the smaller side of childcare or the larger side, right? Because they both have them.
Yeah, because I know you work with a family, with the family. So you can tell us both, right? What is
with
the family versus centers and groups?
So with the family childcare, I feel like they really don't understand time and space. There is such a thing as time and space. You can actually expense out and have a huge deduction on your time and space. The kitchen that you cook in, yes, you cook for your family and you also utilize it for your daily life, but it can also be a deduction when you are having your childcare hours, right? And so a professional will break that down for you and expense it the correct way so that you get your deduction at the end of the year. And a lot of daycares, family daycares, don't realize that. And of course, just like a doctor, if you have a heart condition, you're not going to go to a leg doctor, right? So choosing a tax professional is very important that is in your field, that understands the tax regulations, around childcare is important as well. Yeah. Yes, Obi, you were going to say something?
I want to speak to that, to the point that you just made, because I started out in family childcare, and I remember the first 3 years I had an accountant, and I assumed that because my accountant did taxes for schools, that she understood how family childcare taxes work. And I had to end up getting she wasn't even an accountant. She just understood family childcare exemptions, and she had to redo the taxes that the other person did for 3 years. She had to redo them because of the allocations. I was able to write off 60% of my house because of the way that I was using the space. I used every floor, almost every room. Yeah. And so the other accountant didn't know that. So when you say, get an accountant that's in your field for family childcare providers specifically, because you're in your home, you want to make sure that you're asking whoever is your tax preparer, do they understand and are they aware of all of the allocations specifically for family childcare? Now, even for groups, there are some groups that's in homes, they're going to need to ask the same questions. But if they're in a center, then they are fine with the other commercial size businesses.
Correct. Yes, I agree. It's important to do that because, as I mentioned, there's specific regulations for family childcare because you're in your home and you live there. Even your yard, if you go out to cut your yard, guess what? You are now cutting your lawn. So that's also an expense, right? Maintaining your lawn, shoveling the snow. The children may play in your yard. all of these things can be expensed out, deduction. And as Obiama says, it's important to understand that. And if you don't understand that, that's when you get caught up with your taxes right at the end of the year. And then it's like, whoa.
What do you say to, or what is your recommendation to those small family childcare organizations that you work with that don't pay themselves, don't give themselves a salary?
Oh my
Let's
God.
talk about it. That just irks.
That is 99.9% of them. And I am not exaggerating. They just don't pay themselves. And it's so important. First off, they don't know how. How do I pay myself, right? And this goes back to how you structure your LLC. You have to structure it the right way. A few ways of paying yourself are obviously on a W-2, right? If you have other employees, it'll be phenomenal if you can get on W-2, which is on a third party, or do it in-house. Or your accountant can do it. Or you can pay yourself on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, just simply by transferring from your business account into your personal account. Now, give it 98% don't have a business account. They are utilizing their personal account. And that is a huge mistake. That is called commingling. And it is illegal to some extent. So and again, goes back to the structuring of your LLC. You must have a business account and a personal account. Your personal account are your personal expenses. That's where you pay your mortgage, you buy your clothes, you do all of that on your personal end. With your business, you have to pay whatever comes out of your business with your business. It's so important to do that. And that's how you pay yourself. Now, I understand the structure of, okay, well, I don't have enough to pay myself, right? Because that you also come across that. What if I don't make enough? So then you have to restructure your pricing. You have to, reevaluate your operations on how you're doing it, because you should be getting some type of profit and being able to pay yourself. But again, comes down to having a good accountant that understands family childcare.
That also leads me to and I'm sorry, Lee, I know you was going to say something. When I first started, I too started as a family childcare center, and I've worked in other businesses prior to childcare, and I had to learn very quickly to build relationships with my accountant, right? So when I moved into like a bigger organization, I ended up hiring a part-time controller. And with that part-time controller was able to give me a 5-year strategic plan, just like we do CQIs and everything, and how to build my financial stability in my organization. What do you say to people, or how do you build relationships, right? Because I know you also work with a lot of Latino, right?
Yes.
Childcare centers, and the culture is to be shamed, right? We're ashamed of the way that we handle our finances. Some of them don't trust people. Like
trust issues.
Where where my money's at, it's underneath my mattress. So how do you build those relationships to really help support people, so that way they don't think that you're coming after them or you're the enemy, right?
Educating them. Yeah. Explaining to them what the previous accountant wasn't doing. Not to shame the other accountant, obviously not, but just to give them that knowledge. Explain to them why we pay taxes. Some people don't even understand why we pay taxes, right? Some people don't know that there's three tax brackets, right? We have federal, we have state, and in some cases, like our state, we have city taxes. And those are 3 levels that we have to deal with. So it's a little bit difficult here in Philadelphia, but in other states you just have 2, and in other states you only have 1, which is federal. But giving them knowledge and being in constant communication, because a lot of people are just accustomed to dropping off their documents at the end of the year, and they don't see their accountant throughout the year. They don't speak to them at all. They don't know what, at the end of the year, it's too late to make these changes or to create a new habit, right? Or to see your forecasting, where you're going, what your budget is. So it's important to do that and build trust. Those are the three things I do first: give them knowledge, build trust, and analyze their business.
And I love that you say that, because something that I learned, and we talk about being a part of the Goldman Sachs program, is understanding that these people work for you, right? I'm paying you to do a service, and therefore I need you to basically educate me, which also leads to, and I was telling in my class last night, my class with my students, we were talking about even interviewing these professional services, right? Like everyone does not just to work with you or work for you, right? So asking questions so that you can let me know that you're qualified to work with me. And I think we need to really start standing in this space of confidence and making sure that people respect us, because I'm giving you my money. So can you tell me why I should hire?
Absolutely. Using the interviewing method is important. Definitely interviewing. I think Aaliyah, she froze a little bit. Aaliyah froze. So there you go. You came back.
But she came back.
Nope, she didn't come back.
Okay. So here's the other thing that's really important that I've learned around money and taxes and all of this kind of stuff. The more you know as a business owner, the better you are to not just ask the questions, but understand the answer. Because I can ask you all the questions I want and still don't understand, which could still cause me to be a little leery or hesitant because of some other things that I may have heard from somebody else, because everybody is always talking.
Yeah.
But the information isn't always true.
Yeah.
So you have to, the person, the child care provider, whether it is a family group or center, really needs to understand what they're liable for.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that word. Liable, right? Because at the end of the day, the accountant is the professional, but you're signing on the dotted line. And whether you understand it or not, you are fully responsible once that tax return is filed.
That's correct.
Yeah. Although obviously, the accountants take their own responsibility, but it's not as much as the actual owner, because you are signing. And a lot of the times when I meet someone, an entrepreneur, a business owner that's been in business for a while, and they come to me and they say, well, you take care of everything. Go ahead and do what you have to do. You're the professional. I say, I'm not the one for you. I'm not the one for you, because if you're not going to sit here and go through it with me and understand this is what we have to do, at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're trying to push off that responsibility to the professional. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand it and something happens to me health-wise, or I shut down or I disappear for some reason or another, how are you going to even explain what has transitioned throughout the years with your operation, your financial operations? Or how do you explain it to a new accountant?
It's interesting you say that as well, because I also think that we hand over too much power, so much so that we don't understand what's going on with our finances. So how do we know, are you handling my books and my finances properly? We should also be in control of running our reports and understanding what they're saying, the ability to forecast, and even have an idea as to, where is the trajectory of my business? Where is it going? Right. And then being able to ask those questions. And until I learned that we should have a relationship with our accountant or our professional services to be able to say, listen, here's my goals and here's where I'm trying to go. Can you help me? Let's have a conversation and kind of plan this out. And I too was in a space for years where I only spoke to my accountant at tax time. Oh, you need these documents? Let me send it to you. You send it back. Whatever you say, sign, and that's that.
And that's that.
Until, again, I was educated to know, wait a minute, I should have a relationship to the point where quarterly I get to meet with my accountant and we're having conversations. And then he's able to give me tips and answer questions and even ask me. I was like, you're asking me what I want? I was like, okay.
Yes.
You know, I had to, just like Laverne, I think I just saw her chat. She interviewed her last accountant and sold himself, right? And it's true. They sell themselves, right? Because it's a business, right? They sell themselves. You're thinking, oh, this person's gonna have my back, they're gonna fix everything magically, and then you get in there and here it goes. But one thing I did learn, and by having a relationship, you know, I have a real huge relationship, real strong relationship with my accountant, right? Just like my banker. Right. I know my banker. I know everybody in the bank by first name. And I also know, because we build those relationships. Those are the people that you want to build relationships with. And one thing I learned from her, and the reason I kept her, she was very honest. You know, she took my business and everything. And she said, well, I don't understand this. Right. I don't understand. And I said, all right, neither do I, but let's understand it together. Let's work on it together. So it took 6 years for us to create systems, to be code, to, you know, create these strong budgets where people, other childcare organizations, like, well, who you use? I refused to refer her until I knew that she knew what she was doing. Right. Now I refer her, but not to too many people because I don't want her to get overwhelmed and forget me. Listen, I have questions. I'm like, hey, I'm over here. I got to pay this MPT tax. I need you to do this right now because I'm at zoning right now and I need my certification right now. And that's the type of things, that's the type of relationship I have where, and she's like, you're crazy. Hey, I'm buying a house. You know, we need you to figure this out, how I'm going to get this out of here. Right. And these are great ways and how to build relationships with accountants. So if you do have accountants, and by the way, I do know this because I've heard it from every accountant I've ever encountered. They do not like working with childcare.
A lot of them don't.
So unorganized as an industry, okay, by the accountant's words, right? And it's just a shame that we have to create our own spaces for these business practices, right? Because that's not what's out there. But thank God you got us to help you with that, right? Because
there you go.
It's not out there. It's not.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We typically don't have those type of conversations. I think when I think about my mom, right, you know, I always talk about Miss Linda, 40 years in the business. So many people have started from this space of passion, or they were kind of filling a need, meaning I had to stay home with my child or whatever the circumstances were. They started caring for children. And because it starts as this passion work, it stays, you know, it's passion work. But that's why this was titled, this isn't babysitting, this is a business. So I'm a business owner first. I just happen to love what I do. But this thing is business. And so it's structured on a foundation of business. And sometimes we'll go get this professional development and we'll learn more about the passion work, but not enough about the business side so that we can be sustainable, so that we can make this business work for us, so that you can give me the life that I want, so that I can continue impacting the rest of the world. And I know that's the direction that I'm trying to go. And I think the beautiful thing is we are in alignment with that, which is why the work that we do, we want to pass that on to the, to others, because we all deserve it. We deserve it.
And it starts with having the financial conversation, a tough conversation. And to the point you just made, so many providers, though, they really don't have a vision for their future. And also, one of the things that we learned, because I didn't know this until I went through Goldman Sachs, have the importance of having an exit strategy. But you can only have an exit strategy when you have a relationship with an accountant that can help you to create a financial exit strategy that's going to set you up, right, and put some things in motion so that you can work backwards. Because if you're saying, well, I want to retire in 5 years, or I'm only going to be in this business 10 years or 20 years, what does that look like, and how much money do you need to start generating to get to that point, which includes your ability to either pay taxes monthly, quarterly, or annually.
Yeah. Yeah. What about a business plan? What about having a business plan? What about having a business plan? It's so important.
It truly is how people, especially, people that I hear, they're like, oh, I'm opening up a childcare center. And I'm like, okay. And what's your plan? How are you going to fund it? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? It takes,
because there's no grants. I just got to say that if I get another phone call, another email about, I need a grant. No, you better get a job.
or have a good business relationship with your bank, right?
Well, that means you got good credit.
You have good credit, and you have established, reporting, right? You have, a yellow book audit that you can take to them, financial statements. You have all this stuff that you can take to them and say, now what's up? I need $300,000 and walk in their gully like that, right? My favorite word. You could walk in their gully. But if you don't have those things, you better crawl. You better crawl somewhere, because it's not happening. It's just not happening.
And here's what mostly happens. They come to me and, okay, Martha, now I'm ready to buy a building, or now I'm ready to expand. And when I look at their finances, they haven't been reporting what they need to report. Their taxes don't look like you're growing. Your taxes don't look like you're growing. And so how do we start from now, when now you're ready? But show me, how are you ready in paper? That's the most important thing, because the bank doesn't want to hear that you had it underneath your mattress all this time.
Nope.
And with the technology nowadays, the federal wants to know if you pay taxes on that mattress money. Okay. And you got to prove it. You got to prove it. And it goes just like buying a house and everything else. You have to show your growth. And there's, unfortunately, business owners that are stuck reporting the same thing over and over again. Why? Because fear of paying taxes.
And I love that you bring that up, because, right, it takes me back to even prior to being this far into entrepreneurship, right? So I'm thinking back to the days where, oh my gosh, it is income tax return time, and I'm getting this huge income tax return, right? So this is the thought.
Right. The refund.
The refund, right? And it's like, oh, let me hurry up. I want to do rapid refund and everything. I'll pay you the couple $100 to give me a rapid refund, because I want all of my money. Then getting on this other side of entrepreneurship and doing exactly what you're saying, which is reporting things and doing things the right way, where now I'm not getting a refund. I owe taxes. I'm like, hold on a second, right? And so I think I'm like, wait. So when everyone's talking about refund time, I'm looking like, right? So I would love for you to speak to, but there's this other thing that we're not even talking about. That
ERC, let's get it.
Yeah, the ERC. So let me touch on that topic a little bit, because first off, a refund is just that. A refund, right? Which is money that you have given to federal, and federal has determined that you gave too much. So you're getting a refund, right? And on top of that refund, if you have children, you have some credits, etc. When you are at the point where you're not getting a refund, and now your mindset should be shift to, how do I reduce my taxes, right? How do I reduce the amount that I owe, that I'm going to owe at the end of the year? And I tell them all the time, that is when you are being successful. When you shift the refund to, how am I going to, pivot to not pay as much taxes, right? Your mindset has to change. But if you're the owner that's waiting for a refund, we haven't gotten there yet. So we got to kind of fix your mindset, you got to fix your mindset, because a lot of the times, and I know this is a topic for another day, a lot of the times the business owner becomes a business owner and they still function as an employee. Their mindset are stuck as being an employee, and they don't get it. And that's where leadership education comes along. And that's a whole other topic, though.
No, we could talk about that because we could talk about that.
Here's what's interesting that we don't get to talk about enough, though, because when it got to the point where I was on the other side of when I no longer received a tax return and now I owe taxes, but then I actually saw this thing called like the shareholders like profit. Yes. I didn't know what to do with it because that was never discussed. So I was operating like a full nonprofit, like, oh, great, we could buy more toys. We can buy a new shelf. We can pour it right back into the business, not understanding about profit and shareholder equity. Can you talk to this a little bit?
So that is, again, going back to the structure of your formation with your LLC, right? We have sole proprietor, we have LLC, we have S Corp, corporation. So we have different types of structure. And before you even open any business, whether it's childcare or not, any business, you should sit down and obviously with the professional, an accountant, and ask, what type of entity should I open? And this goes along with your personal goals and the goals of what you love to do, where you want to go with this. Because at that point, when you determine which entity you should go with, you're going to be successful. Because if you're opening up an LLC and your goal is to be a franchise in the future, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, opening an LLC is not for you. You should be opening an S Corp. You should be opening an incorporation, and seeing the liabilities that go behind that. And so it's important, again, before you even open or put a name to your business, speak to a professional about how that formation is going to be about. That's the importance of that.
Can we talk about that name in your business? I know we had a conversation.
Yes, the name in your business.
Let's talk a little bit about naming those businesses.
Yes, naming those businesses. We always go for our name or our initials, right? Always. Number one thing is our names and our initials. Or we will name it the street name, whatever the case is. It's important that you think ahead of yourself. And as Obiama said, the exit plan. What's the exit plan? Because Martha's child care services, right? You're not going to exit with that name with the actual profit that you want to exit out with. Why? Simply because of your name. That name, if that person's name is not Martha, it's going to mean nothing to them.
There's a lot of childcare centers, especially in family, that I realize they have it, their LLC or whatever, however they form it under their name, and then they do a fictitious name, but they didn't apply for a fictitious name, application. So it's really not legal. And they're like, okay, ABC childcare. And then when you look up ABC childcare, you're not finding it because
you're not finding them. Yeah. So I'll tell you what's happening. Just recently, I took a look at how the process is, right, of opening a childcare. And when I came across that, I even called Damaris on it. I said, Damaris, what is this? So here you are opening a childcare, and you're going through the process that I don't know where they get that from. Where do they get that from, Damaris? Whatever that process is. Remember the DHS?
The DHS.
Okay, from DHS. Okay, so you're going through a DHS, I guess, process to open up your childcare, right? However, the very first step of opening your business, I don't even know if I should really say this, should not be going through the instructional phase of DHS. Your business, I'm just saying the formation of the business. You should be speaking to an accountant, because DHS is not an accountant, right? DHS is a child care provider, right?
Regulator, right.
Regulator.
Right.
But they're not into LLCs, S Corp entities. They don't know anything about that. They just give you a guidance. This is what it is. Click the link and then you follow the steps, right? But if you're not speaking to an accountant, what you're doing is you're defaulting yourself to opening up the business with your full name And with your full name, it indicates to the IRS that you are a sole proprietor, that you are the only person in the business and you're the only one that's going to run it. And you're going to work as a contractor. That is it. That is what you're telling the IRS. Now, a fictitious name doesn't really change anything, right? The fictitious name is just something that you're going to put outside outside of your business, the name that goes outside. That's why it's called a fictitious name, a fake name, right? That you're going by. So it's registered. It's a registered name, but it's not the federal name, right? The federal name is Martha G. And that's the biggest mistake anyone can do in any business, not just childcare. So you really have to structure that and make it the business name. So if it's going to be ABC Childcare, it should be registered under ABC Childcare, and maybe put a fictitious name if you want to. You don't even have to at the end of the day. It really should be a business name, not your government name. Definitely not. Because again, you will be looked as if you are a contractor.
Yeah.
And you will be taxed at a contractor rate.
Mistakes. One thing that Martha doesn't mention also is she does zoning. So she helps.
Yes.
She wears a lot of hats. And for those of you who know, I'm opening up a new childcare center. So I submitted my zoning application because I'm like, I'm a veteran. I've done this for 20 years and went and messed the whole entire thing up. So I called Martha and I'm like, can you help?
Yeah.
5 days I had my permit. 5 days. She went in there like a beast. Yeah. You know, so that you have to know what you're doing. And even if you think you know, sometimes you just gotta go out there and just ask, right? Because things change.
Yeah, because things change, technology changed. The city of Philadelphia right now has revamped their website. Thank God. But I feel bad because I have city workers, not going to mention, have some people that are from the city that are actually calling me to ask me how to do something in the computer. It's not the Maris didn't know what she was doing. It was just simply that the system has changed. Technology has changed. And so if you're not keeping up with that, obviously she's only zoning when she opens a daycare, right? She's not zoning every day. So that's why it's important to go to a professional when it comes to zoning. And just for the record, when you see a building, when you see a space and you want it, it's so, so important for you to default into the zoning, because it can cost you so much just to open that space, thinking that you can just open it for that particular business, and you will not be able to. Even if it was that before, it doesn't mean it's zoned. That's another thing. Like, just because it was a grocery store and you're going to build a grocery store, it doesn't mean that it was zoned for the grocery store to begin with. Please realize that. Do your research. It's so important.
That is such an important point that you just made, Martha, and even what you were saying, Damaris, because too oftentimes, because people are listening to people who don't tell them the whole story, and then they jump out here and they don't have a paddle and they're drowning, so much so they don't even have the money to pay you, Martha, to course correct.
Yeah.
And it's like, before you sign a lease, can you please invest in some real people that can help you and save you some money and time and tears? But they don't do that. They just jump.
Even from lease negotiations to zoning to all of that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I definitely was going to say that as well, Obiama, just that idea of paying for it proactively, like before something goes wrong. Sometimes it actually can save you a lot of money by hiring the professional instead of trying to do the DIY.
Or listen to your neighbor, right?
But she costs you more. It may be it worked for her. It may have. Right. But we also have these things where some people are grandfathered in. Some people don't know. You just don't know. So it pays to, like Martha said, do your research, check with a professional, and invest. Right. Some things we can do ourselves, but that's why there are professionals. Right? And I laugh. I tell my mom this all the time. Mom, you don't understand. It's people for that. It is people. For everything. I do not like washing clothes. I don't like washing them. I don't like folding them. I would gladly pay someone. I would, right? Because here's the other thing. I can be utilizing my time more effectively somewhere else. And I rather focus on the things that I love to do. And
I love washing clothes. It's like
I do too. It's very relaxing for me. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I'll do. I love washing dishes. I get to think. I got my music on. It's a thing. Right. But wherever your lane is and what you like doing, do that. And then hire the professional to do the other stuff.
That's right. I say focus on your strengths and delegate your weakness.
That's it.
Yes. Yes. And going back to that really quick, I just want to I don't know if there's anyone out there that is looking into renting a space, a commercial space. I want everyone to know the new laws around renting commercial right now. Rather it's commercial or even residential, it doesn't matter. Right now in 2022, August of 2022, the new law here in the city of Philadelphia is that the zoning is no longer a responsibility of the landlord. It is no longer. And I've had several people in my office, and we've even gone to court for this, and they've lost it all because they didn't do their research. And again, this law came into place. I'm not sure what the name is right now because we weren't going to talk about that. But the point to it all is if you sign on the dotted line your lease and you can't get that place zoned, you are responsible for that 3-year, that 5-year lease. So whether you are in it and operating or not, the landlord wants their money. I just want to make that clear to everybody.
That is so why. That is so. That is the reason why, before somebody signs a lease, they should do their research, just like you said, Martha. In addition to that, negotiate their lease, right? Because in negotiations, I always put a clause. If I'm not able to do a business, blah blah blah, I am not responsible for this. And I'm going to make you sign that because if not, we're not going to do business. Right.
Exactly.
I'm here to pay you. We're going to be married for 20 plus years because that's how I go in. Right. I'm going to depreciate everything I put in this building, 20 years. Right. However, in the event of this, that, because in the end of the day, you have to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to protect yourself. Right. Nobody goes into business to lose. I'm not doing it. The landlord's not doing it. So we have to come up with some type of agreement. Yeah.
Yes. Never assume that you can just sign. Yeah. Some people just assume like, oh, they're not going to read this whole 10-page lease. You don't have to read it, but get someone.
Get a lawyer. Invest in someone to kind of do that.
Please do so.
That would, I said before, right? Saving yourself money, time, headache, and I think we get very emotional, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I just love it. It is so cute. It is so nice. It is so, right? And it's like, it is cute. It's cute, but is it right for me? Right. Am I going to be able to grow? I will never, I didn't know this at the time when I was looking for a building. And we had the Fund for Quality grant. So, I already knew we would have that money available. In this building, I was so excited because it was open space. So therefore, I literally was outfitting it exactly how I wanted. But to find out it was in a shopping center. And so I didn't, until asked, because I had a lease attorney, thankfully, I would never be able to own it. And I was like, so because the space would be fully outfitted, there was a lot of money going into the project. So I also would have to get a loan. Yeah. It didn't make sense. So while it was beautiful and ideal and it could be my dream center, it would never be my dream center. And it would be something that I basically was creating for someone else to walk into and building up this owner's, I basically was creating it for them. So just, go into this not so emotional. It's business. This is not babysitting, right? We're going into business and we want something where you can grow, you can exit from, it can be a part of your legacy or even whatever it is that you choose, right? I think going into business, we have to have this idea that it is going to work for me and having an idea of what you want it to look like 5 years later, 10 years later, 15. Otherwise, we're chasing after the business and just following it wherever it is going, and it's not working for you. And we don't want to do that. Right. We're at the 45-minute mark. I do not want us to end this conversation without talking about the employee retention tax.
Yes, yes.
Can you please shine some light what that is?
So the employee retention tax credit came about because of the pandemic, right? And it is to give some type of relief and retain your employees, right? Now that, unfortunately, retaining employees have become a huge problem right now. So the ones that you do have, you're going to be able to retain them, right? So the ERTC is based on W-2s, your Social Security taxes, what you've paid into that throughout the years with your employees in your business. So if you do not do payroll, meaning W-2s, you do not qualify. Okay, you don't qualify for this program. Now, if you do pay your employees on W-2, rather it's just one person or two person or 500 employees, you may qualify. What do they look at? They look at your 2019, your 2020, and your 2021 tax returns. Okay, your 941s. If you don't know what your 941s are, that is your quarterly taxes, employee taxes that you pay every quarter, rather it be with your third party or your accountant that does it in-house. And what they do is they take a look at your 941s, and you can get up to 70% back. Okay. The employees can be full-time, the employees can be part-time. The only thing you cannot include is family members and yourself. Cannot, if you're on W-2 yourself, you don't qualify, and neither is your family members. Family members can range anywhere from immediate family to cousins or nephew, nieces, in-laws. They cannot be related to the business owner. Okay. What else? What else am I going to say about that? Let me look at my little notes here about the ERTC. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy application. I'm going to tell you that right now. You must go to a professional and get it done. There are scams out there. Please, for the love of God, be careful with people that are calling you in regards to the ERTC.
I love that you said that. It is an influx of calls right now. I'm like, where are all these people? And who are you? And how'd you get? I got phone calls. Like, yep, I called you earlier, but I was like,
yes. It is important that you are aware that they'll send you electronic mail. They'll send you mail with snail mail. They are trying to reach out and get information. So what happens with this information is, if you don't know the person that is doing your application, they can and will steal this money. And this money is not $1,000. We're talking about the least client that I had, the least was 80,000 with 6 employees. Okay. So it's a lot of money. Now, when does it expire? The expiration date was September 2021. Excuse me, September 2021. However, the IRS is so backed up that they're still taking applications. This is not something that happens overnight. You're not going to submit your application and get approved and the money's in the bank within 30 days. This is going to take about 6 months, sometimes 8 months, maybe a year. It all depends. Okay. But as soon as you get your approval, best believe that you will have a check in the mail. And check in the mail. You don't get it by direct deposit. You don't get it's literally a check that comes in the mail under the name of the business. Okay. Is there any requirements to exhausting the funds? No. You can use the funds for anything you want, but it should be for retaining your employees. Okay. What else? I think that's it for the most part of it.
So if
Unless you guys
you
have questions.
let's go back to that. You can
Mm-hmm.
use the funds for whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, the name of the
Business.
refund is what is it called again? Employee retention tax.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So listen to that very carefully, guys, right? In an industry that is suffering with so much staff turnover, so much staff shortages, this means that you can actually, if you're getting $100,000 and you have one staff member or two staff members, you can actually create a strategic plan to keep that person continuity of care, to support the continuity of care for
That's
2
right.
to 3 years. So how are you going to use this money? You can still use some of it. It's not like you're not going to use some of it, but how can you bring this money back to continue to make money for the organization? Because closed classrooms don't make money.
Right.
But think about that for a minute, right? When I got my ERTC, we're a business with so many acronyms. I created a 5-year plan for all of my employees. This is how I'm going to pay my employees. These are the benefits that they're going to get. This is how I spent that money without even getting it, right? Because I already knew this is going to be my plan for me to retain my staff. This is going to be my plan for me to keep my doors open, because at the end of the day, I need to keep my business running so I can continue making money. You see how that goes, right? So by the time I'm ready to sell or retire or use my exit strategy, my daughter, whatever it is plan that I have, I still have a business in operation, right? And then so many organizations, so many other childcare centers are like, how do you don't suffer with staffing shortages? I have a plan. I invest in them.
So here's
Period.
here's what you have to keep in mind, everyone. This is where Martha's gonna bust your bubble here a little bit. When you get the employee retention, it's still recognized as revenue.
So it's
okay. Taxed. Right. Yeah, it's taxed. So putting it back into the employee is going to be the best way to monetize that money, right? And obviously to retain your employees. But I want you to keep that in mind. Just because there's no requirements to spending the money, you still have to pay taxes, and it still increases your revenue no matter how you see it. So if you are a business that is accustomed to $100,000 a year, when you get this employee retention money, your revenue that year is going to be 180,000 if it's 80,000 that you're going to get, and you have to pay taxes. I want everyone to understand that as well. So putting it back to your employees,
books right.
If you have to have your books right. Exactly.
Yep. Go ahead and save yourself and take that money right off the top.
Yep. So make sure that you are in communication with your accountant. I've seen also a lot of people doing the employee retention program with other people other than their accountant, because maybe their accountant doesn't do that, doesn't want to touch it, because not everybody wants to touch it. It's a lot of paperwork. My office does. We do process it. I process it through a third party. They are the professionals. They just they are dedicated just to the ERTC, which is great, right? There's no upfront cost for it. They take their percentage when you get the money. So it is upon approval. These people that are scamming you are saying they want 20% upfront. You don't even know if they're going to put the application in. They're going to ask you for a whole bunch of, oh, Jesus, please stay away from people that are just simply calling you. Get someone that really understands the ERTC and can get it filled out for you. And if you do go with a third party, please ensure that you are giving this information to your accountant, because what they're doing with the 941s is amending them. They are changing your numbers from that year. So your accountant really needs to know that those numbers have been changed. Okay. It all depends on what type of business you're in. You might have to go in and do a whole amendment to your tax return. And then there's some that it doesn't matter if you amended the 941s. It all depends.
So this is such a great conversation. We're going to have to do a part 2, a part 3, a whole series. So, but listen, to those that are listening, and you have to, Aaliyah, Damaris, and myself have an upcoming webinar, 3-part series, and we're kicking it off with money management. And so, you know, if some of this conversation was a little high level or over your head, or you were just feeling like, I got so many questions, guess what? We got you. We always got you. And so what you want to do is stay tuned, look forward to that flyer that's coming out, and sign up for that webinar.
Yes.
Yep. And just to throw it out there, because I said, well, let me pull these dates up. Put on your calendar. You have your calendar out? All right. August 14th, right? We have 3 days where we are going to do some deep diving with you. So again, like Obiama said, we're starting with money. Everything we bring to you guys is really a part of changing the narrative, changing mindset, and getting this stuff done. It can be done. We just have to, you know, step outside of what we've been bound by. No one is coming to save you. So no one's coming to save you.
So the cavalry ain't coming. The cavalry ain't coming.
Or not.
So we have to do it ourselves, right? So that's what we're talking about, and which is why this podcast was created too, right? You know, it's freedom. It's freedom in this. So so many gems today, so many. I'm so happy. You know, it's recorded. You can go back and listen. You have Martha's. I'm going to make sure we put your information. I know it was put in the notes of the YouTube video. So if you guys have not gone over and subscribed, the information is there. I will share it again to make sure that you can contact Martha. But let me ask before we go, where can they contact you? Whether it's on social media, phone, website, what's the best way?
All of them, all the above. Social media, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I am on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can text the number if you want to. You can call the number if you want to. We have Spanish speaking as well. Si lo quieren en español, también en español. And yeah, email me.
And she's a social media influencer, guys. She's so humble. She's like really talking like, you know, she also does social media influence.
So reach out.
Work. Yeah.
Yes.
Reach out for the community.
Do all the things that we even mentioned, which was right. I'm sure Martha will not be offended if you call her with your interview questions.
Yep.
No, yes, absolutely. Yes. Right? I would be. You come with interview questions. I know that I did my job.
There we go. So guys, make sure that you take a moment right after you watch this, listen to it, take a moment, sit with it, write some notes with some questions you have, with some areas in your business you want to build on. What are some issues you're having? Where are you stuck? I think we need to have, I was thinking about it. We need to have more podcast interviews with ourselves. Like, ask yourself some questions. Right. What's going on with me today? Right. What's going on in my business today that I want to work on? I'm really serious because that's where the work needs to be done. So I'm not going to keep going on because we're talking about business and we love this topic. But yes, go back, listen to it. I know we'll be having more conversations. We definitely need to have a part 2. If you guys have questions or additional topics you would love to see and hear, let us know. Otherwise, the impact has been done. The podcast is over. We will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.